to. And I think the American people are finally, thanks to people like you, are finally saying, you know what, this has got to stop. And I think the so-called elites are really circling the wagons. They've tipped their hand. Brzezinski did this speech a while ago saying, oh, you know, the jig is up. They know what's going on. And, you know, the Pentagon Papers were a good start. But the guys who revealed the Pentagon Papers were also part of the war machine. We forget that, you know, who finally got a conscience. And I think today a lot of people in the military and in the government want to go to their graves with a clear conscience. And I can't name names, Alex, but a friend of mine has been in Washington recently talking to some old school lobbyists who really want to, you know, as I say, go to the grave with a clear conscience because they've been representing some pretty dark forces.
Now, I had dinner with a rocket scientist, a pretty famous one. I didn't realize who it was at the time, and he was a former head of a big technology company. I'll just leave it at that. And I mean, all these guys are really waking up now, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. They're worried about whistleblowers. That's why they're throwing the book. You know, previously the laws were clear. If there's a crime, if the higher-ups aren't doing something about it, you've got a right to go public. But when they're putting Bradley Manning in there, she was saying he leaked all this when obviously he didn't leak it all. We're talking about torture of children here. You have a responsibility to release that. That's not national security. Now Assange, the Brits are threatening to raid the embassy he's in, violating all. I mean, they are scared of their own people not going along with this. That's why they're so scared of the veterans right now.
Well, yeah, the demonization of the veterans is that I'm working with the VA now with a couple of organizations. Actually, Law and Order, my show, we're going to do an episode about PTSD and what a mountain of paperwork these kids have to go through when they come back after they're wounded, how we forget about them and how we demonize them. And, you know, the Sikh shooting was a good example of saying, oh, he's a vet and maybe has PTSD. Well, Alex, PTSD is not a violent disease. I am sick of demonizing all vets when one or two out of a population, like you said before, what are there, 330 million Americans? You know, one guy shoots someone.
There's more than 30 million vets right now.
Yeah, and, you know, one commits suicide every day. So
if a cop ever shoots some people, which cops have done, do we just say all cops have their guns taken? Or if a fireman does it? Or if an auto mechanic does it? Or a school teacher? You know, if one school teacher molests kids, do all school teachers go to jail?
Yeah, you know what? I think, tell me what you think about this idea, Alex. I'm working now with some gun organizations, and I'm the guy who works with them who says, look, we can't take away everybody's gun. That's crazy. It's physically impossible. It's against the law. Everyone has the right. But here's my idea, and tell me what you think, Alex. I believe anyone who wants to own a weapon for a legitimate reason, it's fine. You know, protect your home, to hunt. But, you know, clip capacity is certainly arguable. I don't think anyone needs a 60-round clip. But I do believe that people who buy a gun, you know, it's not in the Constitution. When you buy a car, you have to register the car, you have to learn how to drive the car, you have to get a license, and you have to insure it. And that's not in the Constitution, but we all do it. I believe a handgun or hunting weapon, when you buy it, you should register it, you should learn how to use it, and you should take out insurance and just show that you can use it. I mean, like a car, you can do vehicular homicide. It's a weapon.
Well, we're going to break. When we come back, I'll give you my take on this. But I understand from a nice person's position, you think of people not knowing how to use guns. Here's the problem. There's always going to be crazies, always people that don't know how to use them. The system will use any bureaucracy like that, like they did in New York, to finally make it impossible. Sounds reasonable up front, but then they walk you into it to where now you can't have the gun and then only the criminals have it. But I do say this, anybody out there buying guns, they should go out and get training with it so they know how to use it. And people should, if they've got children, lock their guns up. We'll be right back. But again, that's a personal responsibility thing. The government can't and won't ever be able to properly handle that. Richard Belzer plays the detective John Munch on Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, and first portrayed him on NBC's critically acclaimed drama series Homicide, Life on the Street. And, of course, he's been all over movies, TV, HBO. I mean, I can't even have time to get into it all. Everybody knows Richard Belzer. And I want to get into his book because we were just talking about JFK, RFK, Marilyn Monroe, a little bit about Martin Luther King, where they all had patsies, folks, or claim people died. of an overdose when they killed him. But the book gets into so many other things. I mean, that's why I like this kind of book, is because it's just little factoids and giblets and just data. I mean, it's more almost like a court case or something, just putting the shadow state on trial. And I don't want to get off into gun debates with people. I know there are well-meaning folks.
We're not debating, Alex.
No, but I'm saying,
on the same page.
I'm saying I respect your view. I mean, I respect what you're saying, and I understand it. There's going to be excesses and bad things with freedom. But as Thomas Jefferson said, we're not going to be transported to total liberty on a bed of feathers here.
Exactly.
There's going to be bad things on both sides. I just want freedom. I don't trust the government, so I just say Wild Wild West. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm here. But I think we're on the same page. And you were talking about my book. It was interesting the other night on CNN. We started talking about, the interview started off really great. And then, somebody, I guess, with his earpiece said, ask him about the moon. They wanted to goad me into being defensive or saying I didn't believe we landed on the moon. You know what I mean? That's what they do to us. They try to marginalize us by leaking in these, the crazier stuff. So I busted Piers Morgan. I said, I'm disappointed that you asked me that question. I didn't take the bait, and made him back off a little bit. And then he changed the subject. And then, when I tried to comment during the later segment, first of all, it was interesting, Alex. They asked me who I wanted to debate. And I said, I don't want to debate anyone. Let Piers interview me for 30 minutes. They said, no, he'll interview you for 15, but we want to have you debate someone. I said, I'll have a discussion. So they said, and I knew they wanted to have someone who they consider opposite of me, but I'm very unpredictable politically. So I said, my friend P.J. O'Rourke, who's one of the smartest, funniest conservatives I know, is an old friend, and we never get shrill. We disagree, but we're buddies. So he was on, and they kind of wouldn't let me in on that part of it. And a lot of people, I didn't realize at the time, said I was censored. And when I look at it now, I believe there was something going on. And as you know, Alex, the Psy warriors from Fort Detrick used to go, and probably still do, go to CNN and write the news. Yeah,
that came out in the Washington Post 12 years ago, and it's still going on. CNN, as you mentioned in the last interview, people can go to YouTube and watch it. They always try to pull it down, but people put it right back up. Right. Doing fake nerve gas attacks on Israel, and they're at CNN Center in Atlanta with fake palm trees and fake wind machines, and in between the ads, the international satellite feed was able to record it. I mean, this is a joke.
Dan Rather has done that, and Cokie Roberts was busted for standing in front of a green screen pretending she was somewhere else. Dan Rather has done that more than once. And do you remember when they were practicing a story before the event happened? I believe it was Rather or someone was talking about an incident,
yes,
international incident, and it was a rehearsal. So, I mean, who are they kidding? It's it's right there.
Well, that's like Lee Harvey Oswald in some of the Eastern papers. What was it, New Zealand and Thailand and some others?
Yeah. That stuff 10 minutes, which was really, really creepy. Fletcher Prouty was in New Zealand. He picked up a newspaper and saw all this stuff about Oswald and went, excuse me? But, we prove in our book, we're the first authors, I'm proud to say, that prove irrevocably that Oswald was part of a fake defector program where they sent 18 or 19 people that they recruited from the Marines to pretend they were defecting and go to Russia, to spy. But the Russians were hip enough. I think they knew every single one of them. And they let Oswald in. They knew who he was. They gave him a job at a radio station, a radio factory, a cool corner apartment. He marries the daughter of a KGB. He gets out of there real easy. But we proved that he was a part of the fake defector program. So
I tell you what, long segment coming up. Let's come back and let's run through your favorite parts of the book that really reveal what's going on. Because, again, folks, it is a page turner. You need to get it. It's available at Infowars.com. The truck from Minnesota where they were printed is almost here, but you can find it in bookstores everywhere. Dead Wrong, available at Infowarsshop.com. Richard Belzer, TV and movie star, is our guest. Wow, we got Richard Belzer on the show, author of Dead Wrong, available in bookstores everywhere. And I was reading that it's selling out in many places, sold out in our office. But the book is available, because it's going to get here Monday, so you can order now at InfoWarsShop.com. That way you support Richard, the First Amendment, and us. But that's not what this is about. Richard, I'm not just, you're sitting here kissing your hind end or anything, but I respect people who are in Hollywood who come out and, say on CNN, both parties are controlled. They're both driving us off the cliff. We're in trouble. The government killed JFK, things like that. Because it does take a lot of courage. I mean, I know probably a lot more people than I do in Hollywood media, but most of them are, quite frankly, wise of what's going on. They're very informed. What you call conspiracies, hotter than a pistol in Los Angeles, and it has been for decades. But these people have been slapped down when they go public with controversial things, and I think people like you are hitting the barbed wire. And so that's why none of us agree with each other on everything, but I just respect the guts. It's like that line from Full Metal Jacket, Private Joker, silly and ignorant, but he's got guts, and guts is enough. I'm silly on a lot of fronts to other people's perspectives, but the point is we all agree that we've got shadowy corporate interests that can do whatever they want, that are monopolistic, shutting down our society. And we've got to get the left, right, center, like you said, outside that paradigm together to say, we got a problem.
Exactly. It's a oligarchy, literally. This country, it used to be a cliche. I was laughed out of the room. I've been railing about this stuff since the 60s, and I've been marginalized. I've lost jobs. Certain radio stations wouldn't have me on. And this is in the 80s, and the 70s. And now it's like, okay, I asked a Secret Service friend of mine, should I be worried? He said, no, you're a celebrity. They won't kill you. But, what he meant was they do kill people, but they won't kill you. It's like, whoa. It's like, so I feel, as I keep saying, a civic responsibility to get this stuff out, because as you know from the sales from your website, people want this information. Americans are intuitively very sharp. They're isolationists. They don't want to be in wars. They want to have, their privacy protected. I mean, we're all on the same page. We all want clean air and health care. Just quickly, I live in France part of the year. Actually, I'm there now. It's one of my dogs squeaking. Honey?
That's okay, bro. I got 4 dogs. That makes me think I'm at home. My wife calls them mice, even though one of them is a black lab. She says, we're infested with mice.
Yes. So we had 10 dogs at one time. That's another show. But just quickly about healthcare in America, whoever gives it, or whoever the source is, it's exorbitant. It's crazy. I broke a tooth here in this little village, a remote village, not a tourist place. I went to the dentist. He was fantastic. He gave me a root canal, a temporary cap, shots, x-rays, 132 euros, man. In America, it would be like $3,000. I mean, anyway, let's get back to my book, because you mentioned that we talked about the big cases, Dr. King. I don't know if I mentioned on your show, but a civil jury in 1999 in Tennessee found that the government was involved in a conspiracy to murder Dr. King. Oh, yeah,
we've had the lawyer on who proved all that. I mean, it's a fact that James Earl Ray was set up.
Yeah, and it's not generally known. And when I tell people that, they think I'm crazy. But now, it's there. It's out there. That's why I keep saying I'm proud of this book. It's in the history section. But what's really wild is the Vince Foster case, which we didn't talk about last time, I don't think. There are literally so many dramatic inconsistencies in the crime scene. Evidence, of Foster's death is even hard to prioritize them. Let me